I begged for his attention, but he only had time for work, his friends, his TV shows. One evening, as I sat alone again, a friend texted, "You deserve to feel loved." That text turned into a call, a coffee date, a secret I never thought I'd keep. Then one night, my husband finally noticed my smile and asked, "Why are you so happy lately?" I took a deep breath and whispered, "Because I finally feel wanted." His face darkened. But the truth had only just begun to unravel. I'm not sure how to begin this, but I feel the need to share my story. Maybe writing it down will help me process everything, or perhaps it will serve as a lesson for others. Either way, here it goes. I met Daniel during our college years at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. He was studying engineering, and I was pursuing a degree in literature. Our paths crossed during a shared elective course on art history. Daniel was the kind of person who could light up a room with his presence. He had this infectious enthusiasm about him, always eager to learn and explore new things. We bonded over late-night study sessions at the Hatcher Graduate Library and weekend walks through the Nichols Arboretum. Our conversations would flow effortlessly, ranging from philosophical debates to silly jokes. By the time we graduated, we were inseparable. After college, we decided to move to Chicago together. Daniel secured a position at a prominent tech firm downtown, while I landed a job as an editor for a publishing house in the Loop. Our early years in the city were filled with adventure and discovery. We explored the vibrant neighborhoods, tried out new restaurants in Logan Square, attended concerts at the Chicago Theater, and spent lazy Sundays lounging in Millennium Park. Life felt full and exciting. However, as time went on, things began to change. Daniel's job became increasingly demanding. He'd leave early in the morning to catch the L train and often wouldn't return until late at night. Weekends that were once reserved for us became occupied with his work commitments or outings with his colleagues. I understood the pressures of his career, but I couldn't help but feel a growing sense of loneliness. Our apartment in Lincoln Park, which once felt like a cozy haven, started to feel empty. I'd spend evenings alone, reading or watching reruns of old sitcoms, hoping Daniel would come home early just once. I tried to communicate my feelings, but our conversations always ended with him assuring me that things will get better, or that it's just a busy season. I wanted to believe him, so I held on. One particularly lonely evening, as I sat on our balcony overlooking the city, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Alex, an old friend from college who had recently moved to Chicago. We hadn't seen each other in years, but we'd occasionally exchange messages or comment on each other's social media posts. His text read, "Hey, I saw your post about the Art Institute. You always loved that place. Want to catch up over coffee sometime?" The mention of the Art Institute brought back a flood of memories. During our college days, Alex and I would often visit art museums, discussing everything from classic paintings to modern installations. He was one of the few people who truly understood my passion for art. Without overthinking, I replied, "I'd love to. How about tomorrow afternoon?" We met at a quaint cafe in Wicker Park. The moment I saw Alex, I felt a warmth I hadn't experienced in a long time. He looked just the same, with his easy smile and kind eyes. We spent hours reminiscing about our college days, discussing our current lives, and sharing our aspirations. I found myself laughing genuinely, something I hadn't done in what felt like ages. Our coffee meetups became a regular occurrence. We'd explore different neighborhoods, visit art galleries, and even attended a poetry reading in Pilsen. With Alex, I felt seen and heard. He'd ask about my day, listen intently, and share his own experiences. It was refreshing and invigorating. One evening, after attending a jazz concert at the Green Mill in Uptown, Alex walked me to my apartment. As we stood at the doorstep, he looked into my eyes and said, "You deserve to feel loved." His words resonated deeply. Before I could process what was happening, we shared a kiss. It was tender, filled with longing and unspoken emotions. Guilt washed over me immediately. I was married to Daniel, a man I'd loved deeply. But our relationship had become a shadow of what it once was. I felt torn between the comfort of familiarity and the allure of newfound affection. I decided to distance myself from Alex, realizing that I needed to address the issues in my marriage. I suggested to Daniel that we attend couples therapy. To my surprise, he agreed. Our sessions were challenging, forcing us to confront the growing chasm between us. Daniel admitted that he had been using work as an escape, unaware of how neglected I felt. Through therapy, we began to rebuild our connection. We set aside dedicated time for each other, revisited activities we once enjoyed, and worked on open communication. It wasn't easy, and the road to healing was long, but we were committed. As for Alex, we had a candid conversation about our feelings and the circumstances. We both acknowledged the mistake and decided to part ways, cherishing the friendship we once had but recognizing the boundaries that needed to be upheld. Reflecting on this chapter of my life, I realized the importance of communication and the dangers of emotional isolation in a relationship. While I don't condone my actions, I understand how vulnerability can lead to unexpected decisions. Sharing this story is not about seeking forgiveness, but about highlighting the complexities of human emotions and relationships. Daniel started coming home earlier. At first, it was subtle, just 20 minutes here, an extra hour there. He stopped scrolling on his phone during dinner. He asked me how my day was. And when I told him, he really listened. He'd nod, ask questions, actually look me in the eyes. It was nice, familiar. For a moment, I started to believe we were finding our way back. But the guilt didn't leave. That kiss with Alex, no matter how short, kept repeating in my head. The way he held my hand outside the grain mill, like I was someone he didn't want to let go of. Daniel's sudden attention felt good, but it also felt late. And forced. Like someone told him what a husband should do, and he was ticking boxes. One night, we were watching a movie. I was curled up next to him, my head on his chest. Out of nowhere, he whispered, "You've been smiling a lot lately." I froze. He kissed the top of my head and added, "It's good. I've missed that." I didn't know what to say. I lied and said I was just happy things were getting better. But I could feel his body tense. He didn't believe me. I knew it. A week later, I noticed Daniel acting strange. Not distant like before, just watchful. Like he was trying to solve a puzzle and I was the final piece. He started asking questions. Small ones at first. "Who were you texting? Where were you earlier? Did you go alone?" I kept it vague. I said I was catching up with old friends from work, that I'd taken a solo walk. None of it was technically a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. Then it happened. I left my laptop open in the living room. I didn't think twice. I had been chatting with Alex earlier that day, catching up. It was innocent. Nothing romantic. Just him saying he missed talking to me, and me responding with a sad emoji and yeah, same. When I came back from the shower, Daniel was sitting on the couch, my laptop in his lap. His eyes were red. He didn't yell. He didn't say a word. He just turned the screen toward me, showing the messages. "What's this?" he asked quietly. My heart dropped. I sat down slowly. "It's nothing happened." "Not really." He laughed. Bitter. "Not really? You kissed him. You miss him." I said nothing. Daniel stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured himself a glass of water, then dumped it down the sink without drinking. His hands were shaking. "How long?" he asked. I whispered, "A few weeks." He nodded like he expected that. "Did you sleep with him?" "No," I said immediately. He stared at me for a long time. Then he walked out. He didn't come back that night. The next few days were awful. He stayed at a friend's. I tried calling, texting. He answered once, just to say, "I need space." Then the twist I didn't expect. A woman named Jenna messaged me on Instagram. "Hey," she wrote. "I know this is random, but I think we need to talk." About Daniel. My stomach dropped. Her profile was private, but her photo was clear. She was pretty. Younger. Smiling with a glass of wine in her hand. I didn't respond. She messaged again the next day. "I don't want to be messy, but I didn't know he was married. I wouldn't have gotten involved if I did." My fingers trembled as I typed. "What are you talking about?" She replied almost immediately. We met at an after-work event. A few months ago. We went out a few times. I didn't sleep with him, but it was going that way. He ghosted me a couple weeks ago. Then I saw a tagged photo of him and thought, I should say something. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to scream, cry, throw something. But all I did was stare at her message, rereading it over and over. Daniel had done the same thing. Maybe worse. I spent days spiraling. When Daniel finally came home, I was waiting for him. He looked tired. Older. Like the weight of everything had aged him. I showed him the messages. He didn't deny it. He sat down on the edge of the couch and said, I thought I was losing you. I panicked. That's your excuse? I asked. You felt me slipping so you found someone new? He shook his head. It wasn't like that. I was lonely too. My voice cracked. We live together. We sleep in the same bed. How are you lonely? He looked at me, eyes full of regret. Same way you were. I wanted to hate him, but I couldn't, because the truth hit harder than the betrayal. We were both lonely, both broken, and instead of turning toward each other, we looked elsewhere. And now we were here. Not separated. Not together. Just broken in the same room. We didn't know what to say. So we sat in silence, listening to the clock tick. The city moving outside our window. Both of us knowing the truth had only started to unravel. And the worst part? Neither of us had a clue what came next. The days after that talk felt like walking through fog. Daniel didn't move out, and I didn't ask him to. But we slept on opposite sides of the bed, barely speaking. Meals were quiet. The TV stayed off. There was nothing left to distract us from the mess we'd created. Then, about a week later, something strange happened. I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Is this Allison? A woman asked. Her voice was soft, cautious. Yes, I said. This is going to sound odd, but I think we share something in common. I didn't know what to say. I'm sorry, who is this? I'm Talia. I was engaged to Alex. My stomach turned. What? Yeah. He told me he was staying with a friend in Chicago for a few months. I just found out about you by accident. I saw messages pop up on his old tablet that's still synced to his phone. My head was spinning. I saw your name and looked you up. I wasn't trying to snoop, she continued. I had a bad feeling. I sat down, heart pounding. You were engaged? Still are, technically. We were supposed to get married this December. I thought he needed space to clear his head before settling down. But now I'm wondering if that was just an excuse to do whatever he wanted. I couldn't even speak. I'm not mad at you, she added. I don't think you knew. No, I didn't, I whispered. We stayed on the phone for nearly an hour. She told me everything, how Alex had been acting distant since early spring. How he said he needed time away from New York to think. How she trusted him. And now here we were. Two women who thought they were special to someone who was lying to both of them. After the call ended, I felt sick. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I texted Alex. We need to talk. Now. He replied within seconds. Can't tonight. Tomorrow. No. Tonight, I wrote. I know about Talia. The typing bubble appeared. Then stopped. Then appeared again. Then stopped again. Finally, one sentence. Can we please talk in person? I agreed. I needed to look him in the eye. I needed answers. We met at the same cafe where it all began. When he walked in, he looked nervous. Hair messy, eyes red. I didn't plan for this to happen, he said, sitting down across from me. You were engaged. I know. And you still kissed me. Still spent time with me. Lied to both of us. I didn't think it would go that far. I just missed you. I missed how easy things were with you. I shook my head. You used me. You used both of us. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. That doesn't make it better. He leaned back in his chair, defeated. I never stopped loving you, Al. Back in college, I thought we had something real. When I saw you again, I didn't want to walk away a second time. But you weren't free. And neither was I. He nodded. I know. I stood up. I hope you tell Talia everything. Because if you don't, I will. He didn't stop me when I walked away. Back home, I expected to fall apart. But I didn't. I sat on the floor, knees to my chest, and just stared. At the ceiling. At nothing. At everything I'd let happen. I told Daniel about the call the next day. He listened quietly. When I was done, I said, I thought Alex was different. He nodded slowly. I thought Jenna was just a distraction. We sat in silence again. Then he asked something I didn't expect. Do you still want this? Us. I don't know, I said. Do you? He didn't answer. We started therapy again, but this time, separately. We needed to understand ourselves before we could even try to understand each other. But the twists didn't stop. A few weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. Just my name on the envelope. Inside was a note. You think you know who people are, but you don't. Ask Daniel about the weekend he was at a conference in Milwaukee. Look at his hotel receipts. He's not innocent either. No name. No explanation. I confronted him that night. At first, he denied it. Said it was probably someone trying to stir up drama. But I checked our old credit card statements. There was a hotel charge in Milwaukee on a weekend he told me he was in Ohio for a tech summit. I showed him the statement. He broke down. There was someone, he admitted. A one-night thing. It didn't mean anything. I was drunk. I was angry. I didn't even get her last name. I felt something inside me snap. You told me you just talked to someone. That it was nothing serious. I didn't want to hurt you more, he said, voice shaking. I thought if I didn't say it, it would just go away. But it didn't. You lied. Again. He didn't try to argue. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't yell. I didn't even cry. I just slept in the guest room that night. The next morning, there was a post-it note on the coffee machine. I'm sorry. I'll give you time. I didn't respond. People think cheating is just the moment, the kiss, the lie, the hotel room. But it's not. It's all the little things leading up to it. The nights spent alone. The birthdays forgotten. The texts left unread. The way silence becomes louder than screaming. Now, I live in the same apartment with a man I used to love. A man who says he still loves me, but I don't know what that word means anymore. The story isn't over. But I don't know where it's going either. A few days after the hotel receipt came to light, the silence in our apartment turned poisonous. We stopped pretending. No small talk. No checking in. Just two people moving around each other like strangers. Then, the confrontation happened. It was a Sunday evening. I was sitting at the kitchen table, rereading Talia's last message. She'd sent me a photo, Alex's engagement ring tucked into a drawer next to a love note with my name on it. Apparently, he never gave it to me, but he wrote it. Dated a week before our kiss. Daniel walked in, saw my expression, and said, still thinking about him? I didn't even look up. You really want to go there? He crossed his arms. I think we should, since we're both living like ghosts. I stood up. Fine. You want honesty? I think about everything. About how I begged you for time. For connection. And you were too busy for months. I sat here alone every night while you gave your energy to your job, your friends, your screens. I asked for crumbs. He didn't flinch. And when I finally felt something with someone else, I hated myself for it, I said. But then I find out you had your own secret. A one-night stand in a Milwaukee hotel? While I was here thinking we still had a chance. His jaw tightened. I made a mistake. We both did. But I didn't lie about it. You sat across from me in therapy and lied. His voice rose. You think it was easy? Watching you drift away, smile at your phone like I didn't exist anymore? I knew something was going on. You were never really here. I shouted, because you made me invisible. The front door opened suddenly. My sister Hannah stepped in. She had a key. She froze in the doorway, holding a casserole dish, completely unaware she was walking into a bomb. I can come back later, she said slowly. No, I said, my voice breaking. Stay. Maybe you can finally hear why your perfect brother-in-law is sleeping in the guest room. Daniel turned red. This isn't necessary. But it was. I told her everything. Every damn thing. The loneliness. The kiss. The hotel. The woman who messaged me. The woman who messaged him. I laid it all out while Daniel stood there, arms crossed, breathing heavy but silent. When I was done, Hannah looked between us and said, "You both hurt each other. But this is scorched earth." Daniel finally spoke. "I still love you." I looked at him. "I don't think that's enough." He looked away. The next morning, he packed a bag and left. No drama. No yelling. Just a quiet goodbye and a take care of yourself. It felt too small for everything we'd been through. In the days after, I broke down in waves. At the sink. In the shower. In the cereal aisle at the grocery store. The grief came without warning and it left me hollow. Friends reached out. Some offered support. Some judgment. Why didn't you just leave before it got that far? How could you betray each other like that? Even my mother called and, in her passive-aggressive way, asked, "Well, do you feel better now?" I didn't. Alex messaged again. "I'm in town. Can we talk?" I blocked him. He had his chance. Daniel and I started the paperwork a few weeks later. Quietly. No fights. Just signatures and awkward moments of pretending to be okay. I thought I'd feel relief. But I mostly felt tired. Now, months later, the apartment is quieter. I kept it. Repainted the bedroom. Donated all the shared stuff. I don't talk to Alex. I don't talk to Daniel. I go to therapy alone. What did I learn? That love can rot in silence. That being faithful doesn't just mean avoiding other people. It means showing up every day, even when it's hard. That neglect cuts deep, and that secrets multiply in the dark. Do I regret it? Yes. And no. I regret not screaming louder when things first went wrong. I regret not walking away before we both started bleeding. But I don't regret learning what I'm capable of enduring and surviving. I'm not healed yet. But I'm not shattered either. I'm in the in-between. Maybe someday I'll trust again. Maybe not. But for now, I'm learning how to be wanted by myself. And that's something no one can take away.